It's Thursday, August 21st, 2025. Good evening and welcome to the daily happenings inside our federal machine. This is Spathon and it's time to plunge into the swamp to see what happened today. The president is currently hanging out with the National Guard and law enforcement patrolling DC, and President Trump is even supposed to be going on patrol through the city tonight with the feds and the military. Today, FBI Director Kash Patel confirms that former FBI Director James Comey was authorizing classified leaks to the news media while misleading Congress in the process. It was announced today that U.S. Central Command forces killed a senior ISIS official and key financier in Atimah, Syria, who planned attacks in Iraq and Syria. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced today that the federal government will immediately suspend all issuance of worker visas for commercial truck drivers. A New York appellate court threw out the $500 million penalty which Attorney General Leticia James attempted to levy against President Trump during his civil case. The mayor of Boston is refusing to end the sanctuary city status, so ICE director vows to flood Boston with immigration agents. After all, immigrants are probably concentrated where the sanctuary cities welcome them. And FBI Director Kash Patel also confirms that agreements have been made between 10 different whistleblowers, and the FBI will be providing them with back pay, security clearance, and full reinstatement. Secretary Kennedy's Department of Health and Human Services has terminated the state of California's sex ed grant after it refused to drop radical racial gender lessons from their curriculums. And there's a bunch more. There's a whole lot more to go through, so we're just going to dive right on in. And if you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe and all that good stuff. And I might just read your comments. If you decide to drop one, I'll try to read your comment on the next episode. And we have this first one right here from the New York Post. Trump says he'll patrol D.C. with the cops and the military tonight as part of his crackdown on crime in the city. It's on the New York Post. And we've got an article right here to check through real quick. I'm hoping that they're going to give times. I haven't had any time to look at the articles. Very busy day today. I'm just now getting to a point now where I can start the show. It's just before 8 o'clock right now, my time, Florida time. Eastern time. And so we'll just get started with this. So President Trump told conservative radio host Todd Starnes on Thursday that he plans on tagging along with DC police and National Guard members as they patrol the Capitol this evening. Quote, "I'm going to be going out tonight, I think, with the police and with the military, of course," the president said. "So we're going to do a job. The National Guard is great. They've done a fantastic job." It was not immediately clear whether Trump planned to personally help apprehend suspects or clear homeless encampments. That would be amazing. Could you imagine Trump actually slapping handcuffs on people? That would be unbelievable. I mean, dude, he walked into North Korea by himself. I think there's just about anything on earth that this dude's capable of doing. He is a legendary president, to say the very least. But if you love him or hate him, he's done a lot of just wild stuff as president that you would not normally see a president do, such as walking into North Korea by himself without security detail. I couldn't believe he did that. That's still, it floors me that he actually decided to do that. That was absolutely crazy. Talk about diplomacy in action. All right, anyway, the former reality TV host's use of prior surprise appearances helped him frame his political message, scoring massive publicity during last year's campaign by taking a shift working at McDonald's and riding in a garbage truck. Both of those were genius. And it wouldn't surprise me if it was him who came up with that idea. Because I know that the garbage truck thing was, he played right into it because, oh man, what was it? Like someone over on the Democrats, or maybe even Kamala Harris or whatever, said that like he was trash, or like they were equating him to trash, or he needs to, or like, we need to take out the trash or something like, I don't know. I don't remember exactly how they worded it, but so Trump decided to literally put on a vest and actually step into a garbage truck and do a ride along in a garbage truck. That was awesome. Taking out the DC trash. So anyway, we're doing a sort of a test right now in DC. It's working unbelievably, Trump told Starnes. The White House did not immediately respond to requests for comment. That's actually kind of surprising, probably because they're just busy. But Thursday marked 10 days since Trump federalized the Metropolitan Police Department and called out the National Guard in response to a series of high-profile crimes in the district. On Wednesday, Vice President J.D. Vance and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth treated National Guard members to lunch at D.C.'s Union Station. They have pizzas out there right now. Trump is out there with them, and they ordered, it was like 100 different boxes of pizza. And I believe I tried to make out what it said on the pizza boxes. I think it says Wise Guys Pizza or something like that. So clearly sounds like something local. I don't know, man. Like whoever has a pizza joint set up like in the inner DC area, especially around where all these federal buildings are, they've got to be making like hand over fist. It's got to be a full-on assembly line in that restaurant. I can only imagine what that kitchen looks like. But anyway, Vance touted the removal of homeless camps from downtown parks, telling a journalist Thursday that it wasn't compassionate to allow a person who's schizophrenic to fester in the streets or reasonable to have crazy people yelling at our kids. White House aides have touted preliminary data indicating the show of force was driving down reported crimes, with the president citing anecdotes of locals feeling more safe. And this is from Todd Starnes. Just in, President Trump tells me that he's going on patrol tonight with D.C. law enforcement and the military. Listen to my full interview with the president at 12 p.m. Eastern on the Todd Starnes Show. Listen on more than 170 radio stations, so on and so forth. He's kind of dropping some advertisement for his show. And there's an image of D.C., the police, D.C. Metro Police, it appears. That was just yesterday. And federal agents supplementing D.C. police since August 7th have made 630 arrests, including apprehending 251 suspected illegal immigrants, including a high-profile bust on Wednesday of an alleged child sex offender near the National Mall. The Wednesday night deployment included more than 2,000 law enforcement and National Guard members, according to the latest data. 10 illegal guns were seized, bringing the total confiscated under the operation to 86 guns. Holy shit. That is a lot of guns, a lot of arrests, a lot of bad guys off the streets. We're going to move on down here to Nick Sordor. I got a few relating to Trump's ride-along and what he's been up to today. So, breaking, President Trump will be going out on patrol with D.C. law enforcement and National Guard tonight, per Todd Starnes. Get your popcorn ready. Trump wants a first-hand look at how well the crime cleanup is going, and I can't wait. No, I can't either. I hope they film the shit out of this, because I'm not going to be able to watch enough of it. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be pretty wild. I know Democrats are going to be seething. Watch, this is too easy. They're going to keep throwing out the word dictator, especially if he wears a certain outfit to try to, I don't know, blend in a little bit. I hope he's not going to wear a freaking suit and tie, because that's just, or not even like, you know how he typically wears his white collared shirt like when he's going golfing or whatever. I hope he doesn't even do that. I think something olive green would look good. Maybe not full camis, like he doesn't have to be all decked out in all this military garb or whatever, but maybe like an olive colored maybe collared shirt or something like that. But of course, if they do that, they're going to constantly call him a dictator for the next fucking week and a half. All right, so speaking of which, check this out. Be very afraid, criminals. Trump is on patrol in D.C. tonight. That's from New Gal. Not familiar, but I just came across that earlier today. Yeah, this was posted about 6 hours ago. I thought that was funny. Made on Grok, of course. Here's another one. Trump getting ready to patrol the streets of D.C. Sheriff Trump. Looking good, looking good. And then this one's from the Babylon Bee. Vigilante justice. Trump dresses up as a bat and patrols streets of D.C. Babylon Bee, they've always got a banger of the day. So that was another good one. And that might be it, but not it as far as what Trump's up to today. He was meeting with law enforcement earlier when I mentioned the whole pizza thing. They were handing out that earlier. So Trump speaks to law enforcement and military who are helping to patrol D.C. This is from Clandestine just 2 hours ago. Trump is making sure to bring lots of attention to this. He wants to the public to see that we can take back our cities and we don't have to allow crime to run rampant. Yeah, he kind of screwed that up there, a couple of words, but no biggie. No biggie. Here, let's check this out. Here we go.
It's a healthy, attractive.
Where's the sound? Uh-oh, there's no sound.
Well, I just want to thank everybody very much.
Do we? Oh, yeah, we do. Okay, never mind.
To do this. We've had some incredible results. The results have come out. and it's like a different place. It's like a different city. It's the capital. It's going to be the best in the world. We're going to do what you're doing with law enforcement, and very importantly also, we're going to physically do it. We're going back to Congress for some money, and we're going to redo a lot of the pavement, a lot of the medians, a lot of the graffiti's all coming off real fast. It's going to come down real fast. We're working with Clark Construction. They're one of the big ones. They're the biggest here.
Clark Construction. Yeah, I forgot I had the volume lever turned down on my mixer. The same with my intro music. I use the same volume knob for my intro music and also the PC volume. So sometimes I don't think there's volume when there is. I just have it turned down. Whatever. But speaking of painting over the graffiti, I did hear that they're going to be painting the border wall black, which I really like. I think that's a great idea. One of Trump's ideas with regard to painting it black would be that during the heat of the day, the black color will absorb sunlight, therefore absorbing heat, therefore producing a very hot border wall in which nobody's going to want to climb it because it's going to be too hot to the touch to do so. I don't know. Maybe. Might do that. What do I know? I mean, it is out in the desert, so I'm sure there's a pretty good chance that it would do that, and black would probably just make it hotter. I know black motor vehicles with the windows up in the summertime, they get hotter than vehicles that are white. It's not by a whole lot, but they definitely do get a little hotter. But yeah, Democrats are all pissed off about the whole painting the border wall because it's supposed to cost like up to $500 million, and they say that's ridiculous. Well, he's stealing our Medicare. He's stealing our Medicaid. He's not giving food stamps to poor, innocent, undocumented citizens. And look, what I think they should do, they've got a lot of illegal immigrants in detention right now, Alligator Alley and that new place up there, the Speedway Slammer they called up in Indiana. They should put all of them on a bus and keep them very closely watched, take them down to the southern border, give them some paint rollers, and have them do it. Have them fucking paint it. So that'll save some money, and it'll keep them busy. I'm sure some of them would appreciate being outside after being cooped up for who knows how long. Probably not a very long time, because I think Alligator Alcatraz is just a temporary place that they're only going to house them for, a few days or a few weeks until they get their flights all scheduled and all that. Because they got an airstrip right there. That's the whole reason they put it there, because there's an airstrip available. Anyway, all right, let's move on to the next one here from J.D. Vance. President Trump and his entire administration are working tirelessly for the safety and security of working families. We're doing it by cutting taxes, securing the border, and promoting good-paying jobs all over America, especially right here in Georgia.
And as a person who grew up in a family where we often struggled with money, it is never the rich people that lack public safety in this country. When we go to war against our cops, when we flood the border with illegal immigration, when we close down great American factories,
feels like election season, doesn't it?
The Bible calls the least of us that struggle the most and hurt the most.
Jobs.
So I'm proud to be here as your vice president.
I guarantee you, take this image, all right? Just get rid of this Chiron down here. Take this image of him speaking, take it back in time. Which year should you go back to? Let's see, maybe 2015. How about that? 2015 or earlier. You take it back in time and you just show this video, and whoever you show it to, just tell them, guess, is this a Democrat or is this a Republican that's speaking right now? And just look at the image and take a look around. You see a lot of hardworking guys, blue-collar guys over here. Same with over here. It's like construction versus HVAC or something. But anyway, jobs. It looks like a Democrat to me. Kind of does. Talking about jobs. I mean, Republicans, of course, they talk about jobs too, but they usually don't actually put slogans up with the word jobs on it. That's usually something that the Democrats have done in the past, especially touring like factories and stuff, because they're all about like the unions and they're all about the kitchen table issues and rolling up your sleeves and all that. I just think that's actually just pretty hilarious, because the Democrats, they just completely threw all of that messaging away. They just couldn't care less about workers anymore. Like, they'll pretend to, they'll throw it in their slogans, and they'll say, we need to back up the workers more, and we need to pay more attention to hardworking American families. But no solutions. No solutions at all. I mean, hell, at least Vance is actually showing up. I'm not sure exactly where he is, and it doesn't say, but he might actually mention it here.
I'm proud to be here as a representative of President Trump.
I want to say it might have been, Georgia. What the fuck, dude? I already read that. Can you tell I only got like 4 hours of sleep last night?
That we have an administration that is making it easier, whether you're rich or poor, to walk down the street with a semblance of public safety. I'm most proud that we're fighting for the jobs of the people behind me and the jobs of every single working person in this country, and we're fighting to make sure that you pay low taxes instead of a bunch of garbage to the federal government.
Good.
I'm proud that we serve an administration that cares more about American citizens and our public safety than giving Medicaid and Medicare to illegal aliens, which is what John Ossoff wants to do. In other words, I'm proud that the kind of family that made me who I am finally has a representative and a fighter in Washington, D.C. I promise you, we'll keep on fighting for you every step of the way.
Oh, yeah, let's go. Woo!
Thank you.
J.D. Vance. All right, so J.D. Vance, he was busy giving speeches today, hanging out with the good old hard-working American families in Georgia, not fucking Pennsylvania, in Georgia. Well, anyway, got a little bit of a spoiler alert during that video because, you know, I revealed a little bit of the next one, but that's okay. So this is from FBI Director Kash Patel, of course. Newly declassified memos reveal former FBI leadership authorized classified leaks while misleading Congress. Thanks to President Trump's push for transparency, the cover-up is finally being exposed. Accountability must follow. And this headline here, exclusive prosecutors secured evidence Comey authorized classified leaks, but declined charges. Awful convenient. And we do have an article that he linked in the down in the comments. So we will have a look at this from Just the News. And federal prosecutors, they gathered evidence from James Comey's top lieutenants that he authorized the leak of classified information to reporters just before the 2016 election, but declined to bring criminal charges, according to recently declassified memos that call into question the former FBI director's testimony to Congress. The bombshell revelations involving ex-FBI General Counsel James Baker and ex-Comey Chief of Staff James Rubio, I can't remember how to say his name, Rubio, were memorialized in documents that FBI Director Kash Patel discovered earlier this year, but the passages were originally redacted by the Justice Department in versions sent to Congress earlier this month. Attorney General Pam Bondi intervened and eliminated the redactions, dispatching new versions of the memos this week to the House and Senate Judiciary Committees, officials told Just the News. The memos detail evidence and interviews gathered by U.S. Postal Inspection Service agents concerning classified information leaked to the New York Times in October 2016, ahead of the November election in which Republican Trump defeated Hillary Clinton. The USPIS investigation also revealed Baker disclosed USG, which is U.S. government, classified information to the New York Times under the belief that he was ultimately instructed and authorized to do so by then FBI Director James Comey. One summary memo read, quote, for example, during interviews, Baker indicated FBI Chief of Staff James Rubio instructed him, Baker, to disclose the information to the New York Times, and Baker understood Rubio was conveying this instruction and authorization from Comey. The memos don't identify the specific pieces of classified information that were leaked or whether Comey or anyone else was authorized to declassify them for the media. I hope we find out what it is. I don't know why they haven't told us. I mean, is it really that classified that the American people just can't know 9 years later? It has to do with the election, obviously, because why would they have released it just a couple of weeks before the election or leaked the information? I think if it probably had to do with the whole Russia hoax, wouldn't they have just come out and say that? I don't know, but anyway. But they were investigated by multiple prosecutors, including the U.S. Attorney's Office in Washington, D.C., under Trump's first administration, and by future Special Prosecutor John Durham, and all declined to bring criminal charges, the memo showed, of course. All right, so anyway, Bondi told Just the News on Thursday she was committed to bringing accountability for the yet unpunished leaks. Good. This document produced at my direction confirms what many Americans have long suspected. Former FBI Director James Comey and his chief of staff engaged in abhorrent conduct, she said. There must be accountability for those who were entrusted with safeguarding our nation's secrets and failed to do so. They better put him in front of cameras. I know he is subpoenaed. He's subpoenaed to speak before Congress in about a month or so. They better put his ass in front of cameras because the American people deserve to see this shit. He deserves to get absolutely grilled by the Oversight Committee. Absolutely. And I hope they do. I really do. Something tells me that they're probably going to be behind closed doors. I mean, I suppose I could probably look it up here real quick. Let me just... Let me just do that just so I don't forget my spot, because I have a tendency to do that. So let's see. Oh, it's got to think about it. Oh, yeah, that's right. I switched it to expert. I should have put it back to regular. Oh, good grief. Come on, man. Come on, Grok. All right. Well, we'll come back to that in a second. So Comey previously denied during congressional testimony that he had ever been a source in the news articles related to the FBI's investigations into Trump and Clinton, and further denied that he had ever approved of anyone else at the FBI being such a source. He has long denied any wrongdoing and insisted he has been politically attacked because he stood up to Trump. Patel told Just the News the evidence he uncovered raised concerns that one of his predecessors may have authorized illegal hacks and lied about it. Quote, these newly declassified memos show how former FBI leadership authorized classified leaks and withheld the truth from Congress and the American people, he said. Thanks to President Trump's commitment to transparency, the cover-up is being exposed. The public deserves nothing less than full accountability. And you can read the declassified FBI memos right here, which I will link down in the description for you. It'll be on justthenews/sites, so you can look for that link below. This one also is going to be down there too, so they're most likely going to be right next to each other. So a recent barrage of declassified documents showing Comey and current Senator Adam Schiff, Democrat of California, may have been behind national security leaks over the last decade designed to harm Trump may prove more than just an exercise in historical accountability. Legal experts say the statute of limitations for prosecution under espionage laws for leaks back in 2016 or 17 can be extended to 10 years if the act was knowing and willful and harmed national security or was part of an ongoing criminal conspiracy that continued into the last 5 years, which it had to have. The general federal statute of limitations is 5 years, but espionage that harms our national interest is 10 years, and covering up the crime continues the conspiracy. Yeah, explained Mike Davis, a former top Senate Judiciary Committee lawyer who now runs the nonprofit Article 3 Project on Constitutional Law. The Trump DOJ can open up a criminal probe that investigates this malicious disclosure of classified information that harms our national interests, he said. Patel recently opened a criminal investigation examining the last decade of U.S. intelligence abuses and political weaponization as an ongoing criminal conspiracy stretching from the now disgraced Russia collusion probe to the raid on Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago, Florida. Bondi has created a strike force to examine the allegations and authorize the use of grand juries, while one of her top deputies, Harmeet Dillon, told Just the News one of the crimes that could be charged is the deprivation of civil liberties under color of government authority. There's also a question of whether Congress was obstructed by false statements and withheld documents, which I'm sure they were. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley, Republican of Iowa, asked Comey in May of 2017 whether he had ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation, which I just played that about a week ago on the show. And Comey replied, never. Grassley then asked whether Comey had ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation. Comey again testified no. When asked whether any classified information relating to President Trump or his associates had ever been declassified and shared with journalists, Comey said, not to my knowledge. And he did ask him that, like in that order, back to back. There have been a variety of leaks, Comey also said at the time. Leaks are always a problem, but especially in the past 3 to 6 months. Coming from him, coming from you, dude. He did not immediately respond to a request for comment sent to him by Just the News through his personal book website, and I'm sure he won't. Rubicki did not immediately respond to a request for comment, so on and so forth. So there's quite a bit left of this to go. I'm not going to be able to read all this, but look at all this information, man. A lot of information that you can read through. Holy crap, it just keeps going and going and going and going. So if you want to get brushed up on exactly what's going on with Comey, the leaks, probably some information on the Russia hoax, Trump's Mar-a-Lago home getting raided. I believe that was by the FBI, wasn't it? So yeah, I'm sure they include all of that information in this article. So that will be linked below, justthenews.com. So I've got, I think, like 35 different posts to get through, so I can't get hung up too long on one particular article. That's why I'm just not able to read it all the way through. But I at least want to share it and then show you just at least part of it, if not most of it. But yeah, they typically put the most pertinent information up there near the top of news articles. That's more or less how it works. So anyway, let me just check and see if this is done. Yes, James Comey's upcoming deposition on October 7th, 2025, before the House Oversight Committee's Federal Law Enforcement Subcommittee will be behind closed doors. Fuck. You know, I was almost thinking about taking off work for that day. Well, there's no damn point now. Oh, wait, hold on. Let me take this off expert. I know they're all going to be, but... I'm sure they're all going to be. I'm sure they will. Come on, Grok. Yes, all subpoenaed testimonies before the House Oversight Committee's Federal Law Enforcement Subcommittee, including those of Bill and Hillary Clinton, James Comey, and the others, are scheduled to be conducted behind closed doors. So I hope you didn't have your hopes up for that, because all of these banger testimony events that are going to take place, we're not going to get to see any of them, which is a massive letdown. So I don't know if maybe they're going to hold one behind closed doors, and if they reveal enough information that the public should be made aware of, maybe they might do that. I mean, they've given public testimonies before, but perhaps not as an official working for the government, because when James Comey was testifying last time, at least to my knowledge, he was still the FBI director. And I know Hillary Clinton, she's been in front of Congress a couple times. I think the last time that at least I can remember, I think it was still during the Obama administration. So maybe they just put them behind closed doors when they're not active government officials. I mean, maybe not, though. Maybe they just want to do it behind closed doors so they can get literally every piece of information they possibly can. And some stuff they may not, you know, it technically could be classified for whatever reason. But anyway, I mean, the main point of them getting subpoenaed isn't with regard to the Russia hoax. It's with regard to the Epstein files, at least to my knowledge. So, but they are planning on bringing that up, though. They are going to bring up the Russiagate debacle, the witch hunt. All right, so this comes from House Homeland GOP, US BP, Border Patrol. Southwest border apprehensions were down to only 4,601 last month, a 92% decrease compared to a year ago under the Biden administration. Read our latest border brief revealing POTUS's continued success in securing the borders. So I will open that tab. And yeah, border brief, U.S. House Committee on Homeland Security, July fiscal year 2025, SWB encounters 7,832. Last year was 104,100. Year before that was 183,479. Absolutely ridiculous, man. And yeah, that's 225,000. 300,000 is the top of the graph here, or the bar chart. And yeah, so 2025, it's like damn near at zero, which is great. Yep, the border is very secure, just as long as it's being protected by the right administration. So, all right, anyway, border brief. July was a win for Homeland Security and a loss for cartels, traffickers, and sanctuary city policies. So it's going to be not too long of an article to go through. But here, I will at least point this out, though. The Trump administration, where'd it go? Here it is. The Trump administration is also working to locate the over 320,000 unaccompanied alien children who were lost by the Biden-Harris administration's Department of Health and Human Services. They were put under the care of the Department of Health and Human Services. It wasn't like they just jumped the border and they just had an encounter with ICE or whatever, and they just took down their names and they just disappeared into the country. Sounds to me like they were placed under the care of the Department of Health and Human Services, maybe not under the direct care or supervision, but Department of Health and Human Services was supposed to keep track of them, and they lost not 10, not 50, 320,000 unaccompanied alien children. That is unbelievable. People should be sent to prison for that, because God knows what some of these children are going through. Fuck, man, I can only imagine. All these people on Epstein's client list, none of them went to jail. None of them have been prosecuted. None of them. And they're all a bunch of elitists. God knows what's happening. I mean, shit, man, you think Jeffrey Epstein was bad? Probably nothing compared to some of the other, I don't even want to think about it. So anyway, that's going to be linked below if you want to check out some of those stats, some of that information. And we'll move on here to Congressman Ben Cline. Radical Democrats claimed our southern border was completely secure under the Biden-Harris administration, but the numbers tell a very different story. They reveal the truth. Record chaos and crisis. And this goes all the way back to the year 2000, which I vaguely actually remember that. This was like back when I was like a freshman in high school. I was like way back in high school back then, but I very vaguely remember seeing something on TV with regard to a news story talking about how there's this like massive surge of illegal immigrants at the border. And I don't know who, I'm not sure. I don't think it was ICE, right? I don't think ICE existed back then. They might have, but I think it was just like Border Patrol or something like that. They were discovering tunnels, like just a number of different tunnels. They would discover one after the next. And one of the mainstream media's news crews went down into one. And I vaguely remember, like, I just have a vague memory of actually seeing that on TV, like right around this time. It was like right around like 1999, 2000, somewhere around there. So not sure what that was all about. I mean, it was obviously when Bill Clinton was in office still. So, I mean, Democrats, I guess they just want the illegal immigrants. I'd be curious to see how it looks back before then. Under Bill Clinton, was it averaging over 100,000 people or more? I don't know. Maybe not. But under Obama, though, I mean, look, Obama, he kind of kept his shit straight with regard to it. It was still kind of bad. I mean, look, 50,000 people. And I'm assuming that's on a monthly basis. That's still pretty fucking bad. But yeah, like even under Trump, it was looking like at the bottom, it was probably, I don't even know what that might be, like maybe 12,000, maybe. And then it kind of went up a bit from there. And then it really spiked, man. So I don't know. I'd have to go back and see what was going on around like 2018, 2019. I'm sure there was a reason for that. Probably a lot of leftist activists were down there just trying to recruit caravans and caravans of people. And there may have been just a couple of pushes at that time to just overwhelm the border. Wouldn't surprise me. But anyway, yeah, under Biden, dude, that is fucking insanity. It is absolute insanity. It didn't go anywhere near like to 50,000. The farthest it dropped was like 99,000. And then Kamala Harris was the border czar. She was in charge of the border. Kamala Harris was under Joe Biden. And this was going on. Imagine if she won. Like, for real. Imagine that. Imagine if she actually won the presidency. And I also want you to, like, not to blackpill or anything, but imagine if and when the next Democrat gets into office. Imagine that. I mean, the floodgates opened up under Biden. It got insane. Of course, Biden wasn't really cognitively there, so there was probably a lot of evil-ass people that were working behind the scenes, clearly. I'm just saying, it's probably going to be a situation like that where every time a Democrat's in office, there's just going to be tons of people pouring into the country. And then when a Republican gets in, we're going to have to play fucking cleanup for the next 4 years. Of course, we're not going to get all of them. We're probably only going to get just 20%, maybe 25% of those who actually snuck into the country. And every time they go back and forth, it's just more and more. There's more that get in than we can get out. I really hope I'm wrong. I really do. And I just hope the American people just keep their eyes open and just pay attention to that, because all this shit that happened under Biden, it's driven up our electricity costs. It's probably messed around with our gas prices to where they haven't fallen as much as they probably could have otherwise. Same with our food prices, our rent prices, because we're talking tens of millions of people. They all consume electricity. They all consume water. They all, the utilities, they all eat food. They rent, most of them. I'm sure they rent somewhere. They're not all sleeping in tent cities. They're all somewhere. So I'm sure that's contributing to why everything has gotten so damn expensive. But yeah, that's fucking deplorable, man. It's an absolute travesty what happened. But anyway, let's move on to Secretary Doug Burgum. I think he's the Department of the Interior, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or Secretary of the Interior, yeah. All right, so states that embrace common sense energy policies are going to be the recipients of direct investment and an influx of capital.
You're not going to see AI factories being built in places like New York or California under their current energy policies. And bringing back to wind, I mean...
That's a really good point, actually. That really does make me wonder. I never really considered that if they were building these AI facilities in red states or blue states. Yeah, probably in blue states, it'd probably be damn near impossible because you're not going to be able to run AI infrastructure on windmills and solar panels. You probably could, but it would cost like 10 times more than it would if you just ran nuclear or hydroelectric or something like that, or maybe even like natural gas or coal or whatever.
It was some of these, blue states that were shut down during COVID also are the blue states that have these energy policies which have been steering them towards unreliable, intermittent, expensive, and highly subsidized by the federal government sources of electricity. And of course, with the one
over $1 trillion,
much of those subsidies are coming to an end. Now we've got more of a rational market. We're ending the preferential treatment for all these intermittent, expensive, unreliable, subsidized sources. And what we're going to see is perhaps a bifurcation that red states that have embraced common sense energy policies are going to be the recipient of all this foreign and direct investment and all this capital.
Yeah, I think the Democrats, I think they deliberately want China to overtake our economy. I really think that they really want that. And I think this has been a plan that they set in motion years ago with all this renewable energy. They knew that it had a poor return on investment. They knew it was going to take trillions of dollars, which is going to help inflate our economy and our national deficit. And they knew that this electrical infrastructure that they're setting up, it cannot handle all the electric vehicles that they want on the road. It cannot handle all the AI. It can't handle just the increase in technology in general. I mean, we've got a lot more technology at our disposal these days than we did 20 years ago, 25 years ago, whether if it's smartphones or computers, tablets, what have you. And we're consuming a lot more electricity than we were 20 years ago as a society. And they did this deliberately because China, they're building giant coal power plants as we speak. They've got over 30 of them that are under construction right now, on top of the surely hundreds of them that they've got all around the country, just operating full steam ahead. And yeah, maybe they've got a solar panel farm here and there. China, they do weird shit. There was, I think it was BYD. They manufacture like 1 million cars that are just sitting in parking lots because there's just too many of them and not enough people to buy them. I think probably they did that expecting to dump them all into the U.S. market, but that didn't happen. But the same thing with China building all these cities, these ghost cities that they were building up back in the late 2000s and during the 2010s. Cities that were built and prepared for millions of people and nobody came because they were expecting them all to flood the city from the countryside or something like that. But yeah, anyway, I think that was all deliberate to do all this wind and solar, and they knew it wasn't going to be able to sustain our country as a whole. It just isn't. Even like $100 trillion, it makes no sense. Absolutely no sense. It's brain dead lunacy. All right, anyway, from CBP, do you know who this belongs to? This is hilarious. CBP AMO, which stands for, let me just take a quick look here. CBP AMO. I'm not familiar. Honestly, I'm not. Oh, hold on. U.S. Customs and Border Protection. I knew that. Oh, Air and Marine Operations. There you go. So it's U.S. So it's basically like the Coast Guard of Customs and Border Protection. That's cool. All right. So anyway, CBP AMO. Lost something extra special? If you've misplaced your 3 pounds of fentanyl or your 53 pounds of cocaine on Port Fourchon Beach, Louisiana, don't worry, your stash is waiting for you at our office in New Orleans. Just swing by with a photo ID to prove it's yours, and we will knock out the required legal paperwork. Lost and found. That is wild, man. Take a look at that. That's a lot of drugs. I don't know if they buried it in the sand or something, or if it maybe just washed up on shore. You know, the square groupers, as they used to call them back in the 80s. The square groupers. All right. So, interesting. A lot of drugs. So, if you're stupid enough, you can go out there and claim it for yourself if you really want to. All right, so Watley War Room, every single one of the Democrat Party's leaders from Zohran Mamdani to AOC to Jasmine Crockett has taken their party further and further left, and they have learned absolutely nothing from their losses in 2024. Democrats have left Main Street, North Carolina.
The Democratic Party has left Main Street. Every single one of their leaders, from Zoran Mamdani to AOC to Jasmine Crockett and Bernie Sanders, is taking this
They're
party
completely disconnected.
further and further to the left. They have learned absolutely nothing from their
Marxism,
losses
communism,
in
socialism,
2024,
totalitarianism.
The Republicans have seen a massive shift in voter registration, including my own state in North Carolina, where we've seen from 450,000 vote margin the Democrats had when I took over as Republican Party chair to about 13,000 now. Under the leadership of my opponent, Roy Cooper, the Democratic Party lead has completely evaporated because they have left Main Street, North Carolina.
Well, and I'm not a Republican, believe it or not. I've never registered as a Republican. I'm a no-party affiliate. I have been for almost my entire adult life. However, over the last 9 years, 10 years, I voted exclusively red because there's nobody who's rational, reasonable, accountable to their actions over on the left, over on the Democrat side. There's just nobody worth voting for because they're all in lockstep. They're all crazy. And they're advocating for just insanity. The only thing that Democrats are talking about that I can think of offhand that I agree with is the housing crisis. That we need to build more houses and we got to drop the price of housing. And other than that, I really can't think of anything else. They're just absolute lunatics. And maybe if the Republican Party gets more into the America First camp, and if they start growing a set of balls and they actually go after the Democrats, then maybe I will change my registration one day. But right now, I just prefer to be in a no-party affiliate. And that is not a benefit to me at all. That means I can't vote in primary elections in the state of Florida. You have to either be a Democrat or a Republican if you want to vote in the primaries. So I've never been able to vote in the primaries in Florida, and I've been here 20 years. And I'm just not ready. Not ready to be a Republican. All right? I'm just not ready. So in case you wondered, I mean, yeah, I am a conservative. I'm a fiscal conservative too, mainly. And that's just where I've aligned myself over the last 9-10 years. But before then, I wasn't really politically active at all. Like so many other people, just didn't give a crap, didn't really pay attention to it. Of course, I watched the news from time to time, but didn't really care. It was just kind of boring to me. Now, granted, I was in my late 20s, early 30s at that time, and I had other things going on. But yeah, but these days, especially after Trump won, the 2016 was an absolutely unbelievable year, man. There were so many crazy things that happened in 2016. Like Fidel Castro died that year, and the Cubs won the World Series that year. Obviously, Trump won that year. There was a bunch of other crazy shit that happened. Actually, I wonder if I can get Grok to give me a quick list. Let's see if he can be able to drop some for me, because there's probably 8 or 10 different things that I'm not thinking of. Yeah, the election. Brexit happened. That's right, in June. Yeah, they voted for the UK to get out of the European Union. That's right. I forgot about that. Zika virus, whatever. Oh yeah, the Pulse nightclub shooting, which, I mean, I live close by. I don't live in Orlando, but I live in St. Pete, so it's not that far. The Rio Summer Olympics, yeah, whatever. Panama Papers leak, nah. Eastern Aleppo Falls, Colombia, FARC peace deal, death of cultural icons. Here, David Bowie, Prince. Oh yeah, Prince died that year. Muhammad Ali. Well, anyway, Fidel Castro, he died that year too. Brussels bombings. But there were some other things. There were some other things that happened. If you watch this video, not that I'm gonna, necessarily advocate for watching this video, but there's a video called, I think it was called The Year 4chan 1 or something like that. It's like a memes video, but not really. They actually detail quite a few things that happened that year. Yeah, this one, The Year Where 4chan 1. It's got about 3.3 million views. I'll link it in the description below if you want to check it out. I would say the most interesting parts of it is in the first half of the video. It's like the first 12, maybe 15 minutes. Oh yeah, that Jeff Sokol asshole, that dude from To Catch a Predator, that happened that year. Oh yeah, Mel Gibson, he came out and said that A Passion of the Christ 2 was coming out. I mean, that wasn't even close. That was Owen Schroyer joined InfoWars that year. Oh yeah, Microsoft. You might remember this. The Microsoft chat bot. I can't remember her name, but 4chan took over, or 8chan or whatever. They took over this Microsoft chat bot and turned it into a racist Nazi. I forgot that happened. Yeah, just some wild shit. Yeah, I'm just scrolling through. Obviously, a lot of political stuff happened. I know, like, Tucker Carlson, he started Tucker Carlson Tonight that year, like a week after Trump won was when he started. Oh yeah, draft our daughters. You remember that during the Trump-Hillary Clinton presidential campaigns when apparently that was probably 4chan who probably did that. They started hashtag draft our daughters. And apparently it went viral. Apparently. I was on X back then, but I wasn't like all that politically active, so I didn't really follow much in the way of politics back then. But all right, anyway, I'll go ahead and move on from that. But anyway, yeah, I'll link that below if you want to check it out. It's a banger of a video. Anyway, so from the GOP, President of the People, responding to Rapid Response 47, the president speaks to the National Guard and law enforcement in D.C., and they give him a quote, so I'll just play it right now.
Well, I just want to thank everybody very much for being here. I wanted to do this. We've had some incredible results. The results have come out, and it's like a different place. It's like a different city. It's the capital. It's going to be the best in the world. We're going to
nation's capital.
Do what you're doing with law enforcement, and very importantly, also
there's
we're
Doug Burgum right there.
We're
Interior
going
Secretary.
Back to Congress for some money, and we're going to redo a lot of the pavement, a lot of the medians, a lot of the graffiti's all coming off real fast. It's going to come down real fast. We're working with Clark Construction. They're one of the big ones. They're the biggest here by far, actually. And we're going to be not so much building, it's cleaning and fixing and redoing and putting brand new surfaces down on your roads and streets. And when people come in from the airport all the way to the Capitol or the White House or any place else they're going to say, boy, this place is spotless.
God, man, that makes the Democrats look so bad. No wonder they're so against this. It just makes them look so bad because everybody knows that it's run by Democrats. And I've said it time and time again, roughly 90% of the DC bureaucracy, they vote Democrat, or the ones who vote at least. I mean, I know not everybody votes, but those who do vote and work in Washington, D.C., 90% of them, they vote Democrat. All right, so anyway, from the White House, just now, President Donald Trump, this is about 2 hours ago, stops by to thank the men and women of the National Guard and law enforcement in D.C. for making the Capitol great again. Let's take a look at this. He's out there with the microphone. Kind of hard to hear him. I'll crank it up a little.
You guys are doing a fantastic job, and gals doing an amazing job, and we appreciate it. The numbers are down like we wouldn't believe, but we believe it.
All right. Well, that was the short one. All right. Zoom in a little bit here. So, moving on. Kind of a hard segue here. From U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM forces, they kill a senior ISIS official in Atimah, Syria. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably not. U.S. Central Command forces conducted a successful raid in northern Syria on August 19th, killing a senior ISIS member and key financier who planned attacks in Syria and Iraq. He had relationships throughout the ISIS network in the region, posing a direct threat to U.S. and coalition forces and the new Syrian government. Quote, "We will continue to pursue ISIS terrorists with unwavering determination throughout the region," said ADM Brad Cooper, commander of CENTCOM. Quote, "Together with our partners and allies, CENTCOM remains steadfast in our commitment of ensuring the latest defeat of ISIS and the protection of the U.S. homeland." Gotta love it. Taking out the bad guys. You're going to destroy what little bit of ISIS that's still left over after the first Trump administration. He wiped them out last administration. So this one's from Secretary Marco Rubio. Effective immediately, we are pausing all issuance of worker visas for commercial truck drivers. The increasing number of foreign drivers operating large tractor-trailer trucks on U.S. roads is endangering American lives and undercutting the livelihoods of American truckers. And this is in response to that truck driver that happened here in Florida who busted that U-turn on the turnpike and ended up killing 3 people who were driving in a minivan because that asshole just busted a Yui in the middle of the fucking turnpike. Basically an interstate highway. He made a U-turn on an interstate highway. I mean, that's what it basically is. And yeah, wasn't paying attention. And what's hilarious is that dude had a dash cam And it was obviously confiscated because it's on X and it's also on YouTube if you want to check out the video clip. And he didn't even look. Just turned the wheel to make a U-turn, and somebody smashed into the trailer, and they were unfortunately killed, 3 of them. So this is in response to that, because the dude who caused the accident, he got his CDL in California, and he's an illegal immigrant. He came into the country illegally, and then he applied for a CDL in California, and they fucking gave it to him. So that's why they're going to pause the worker visas. That, and also because we want to get more Americans to be truck drivers and not freaking foreigners, because I'm sure there's probably a demand for truck drivers. And if there is, we shouldn't be giving any out to foreigners, not for driving trucks. So anyway, from Rep. Anna Paulina Luna, she's my rep, I voted for. Bud Light, Target, Disney, Jaguar, now Cracker Barrel. One by one, great American companies are self-destructing with woke rebrands. When will executives take the note? Wokeism isn't just a failed ideology, it's economic suicide. Yes, it is. And then we'll move on to Rep. Keith Self. President Trump is helping make America safe again, literally. He's truly the people's president. And I believe I'm using that as my thumbnail. So, breaking, President Trump will go on patrol with law enforcement and military personnel tonight in Washington, D.C. This is a really short one. I'm going to try to get the sound right. All right, it's only a quick 10-second clip here.
Fox can confirm that President Trump will go on patrol tonight in our nation's capital with law enforcement and military personnel at his side.
Confirmed. President Trump is heading out, going on a ride-along. That wasn't on my bingo card for this week, to say the least. All right, so Representative Dave Taylor. A few months ago, I expressed my concerns to Secretary Rollins in a House AG GOP hearing about how prime American farmland is being wasted by being covered with solar panels. This is risking our nation's food supply chain and jeopardizing the livelihood of American farmers. And Secretary Rollins, Brooke Rollins, she's the Secretary of Agriculture, and the House AG is the House Committee on Agriculture. And moving on to the rest of this post, Secretary Rollins expressed her full support of removing federal funding for solar panels on prime farmland, and this week she and the Trump administration delivered on that promise. Promises made, promises kept.
Can you commit that USDA funding won't go towards putting solar panels on prime farmland in the future?
100%.
Love it.
I can commit to that. I will also say that I've spoken to the president about this. I will also say that we are moving regulations through USDA relative to this as much as we can within the executive branch. Obviously, you all have the lead on that, and I'll support you in whatever way I can. The final thing I'll say is I spent my summers on our family's row crop farm in Minnesota, and we would fly from Texas to St. Paul every summer when I was growing up, working up there. Take the hour drive from St. Paul up to Clear Lake, Minnesota, through the most beautiful farmland you've ever seen. And in the 53 years that I have been making that drive, watching the solar panels take over all of that farmland in that 72-mile drive is heartbreaking. And so not only is it important for national security.
Which is hilarious, because doesn't it snow in Minnesota? I think it does. Pretty sure it freezes over in Minnesota. How many months out of the year does Minnesota have snow on the ground? It's probably not 6 months, but maybe it is. So all these solar panels that they have set up all over the place, aren't they just basically useless when there's snow on the ground because snow's covering these solar panels? Or maybe they do have a system in place that maybe they're automatically heated or something to prevent snow from accumulating on them. But wouldn't that be counterproductive, though, because the solar panels are having to use its own electricity to melt the snow off the solar panels? So you're probably only going to be getting, 70% of the electricity that you would have otherwise been producing. It's so stupid that they put these infrastructures in areas where they really don't belong. It's ridiculous. I mean, look, there's houses around where I live. Even my neighbors right behind me, they've got solar panels all over their roof. But it makes sense because I live in St. Petersburg. It's the Sunshine City in the Sunshine State. We're in the Guinness Book of World Records for the most sunny days in a row. It was like 768 or something like that. So it's literally sunny every single day here. Now, granted, if it's sunny for, I can't remember how it was with Guinness. I think it was like 10 or 15 minutes. I think it was like 15 minutes. If sun shines for at least 15 minutes out of the day, they consider that a sunny day. So, yeah, on average, we average somewhere around 355, 360 sunny days a year. here. So yeah, solar panels make sense here. It makes a lot of sense. Wind turbines, not so much, especially during the summer. We don't get much wind during the summer. I mean, for most of the summer, the air is just, you can put a candlestick out on your front porch and it won't blow out. So wind turbines out in the Great Plains, yeah, maybe. But that's only if the people want them there, which I'm sure they don't, because it's probably a massive eyesore. It just looks cringe as fuck.
Security, not only is it important for the preservation of our smaller family farms, not only is it important for our row croppers where that land is being taken off, but it's important for the fabric of America that we're not selling away this farmland for solar panels funded by, some interesting things. So yes, I am 100% on board. Anything I can do to help on that, I am at your beck and call.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if China had a hand in that, or if these NGOs, these non-government organizations, or certain quote-unquote non-profits that are gobbling up land and using it for these stupid initiatives. Wouldn't surprise me, because that $1 trillion that they handed out to all these companies that are building all this solar infrastructure, they probably own the land that it's being built on. And it wouldn't surprise me if they do put it on land that's privately owned and they just sell it to the local government, making certain companies extremely wealthy, which I'm sure they're probably politically active in and of themselves. So anyway, this is from Martin Heinrich. Translation: Trump says he's increasing your electricity prices. Really? From CNBC. Trump says U.S. will not approve solar or wind power projects. Well, it's probably because wind and solar has a poor return on investment. Solar has a decent upfront return on investment, but long term, it doesn't hold a candle to, especially nuclear and hydroelectric. I get hydroelectric. You can't just set it up anywhere. You got to have the source of running water and everything. But I already went over this, a day or two ago, when it's just ridiculous. Like your average, if you live in a city of 1 million people and it's completely powered by wind and solar exclusively, including the battery backups that they're going to have to require for the days where it's not sunny or not windy, or I don't know, the nighttime, and it's somewhere around $375 a month that you would have to pay on average for the average household's electric bill on a monthly basis. And that is before you factor in company profits. So we're probably talking like $500 a month on average that you would have to pay for your electricity if your city was powered by exclusively wind and solar. And right now, across the United States, the average for electricity is $135. At least that's what Grok told me. So I did ask this earlier to Grok. I have no idea what his answer is. I forgot to check. So I said, how much would it cost each household per month for electricity living in a 1 million population city electrified with wind and solar exclusively? And how much does the current average American household incur in electricity costs per month? Short answer. So honestly, not sure what it said. Current average U.S. household electricity cost is about $143 per month. I thought it was $135, but close enough. And for a 1 million population city exclusively on wind and solar, hypothetical, no real examples, estimates based on LCOE with storage suggested to be $200 to $300 a month per household, 40 to 100% higher due to intermittency and backup needs, batteries, and it varies by location and tech. I mean, yeah, of course, it's going to vary by location because some places are sunnier or windier than other places. But with the battery backup, you have to this big grid that they're trying to set up, or series of grids, the batteries are going to have to be changed every 10 to 15 years because the batteries eventually die. It's similar to your car battery. It's not the same. It's not exactly the same, but just like a car battery, it eventually dies. It doesn't hold the charge it once did. So imagine how much it's going to cost to replace all the batteries for a city of 1 million people. And what are they going to do with those batteries? I don't know, man. Kind of makes you wonder. So yeah, so it's going to cost double. And I went over a longer scenario with Grok a few days ago. I tried to find it. I believe it was on yesterday's episode, and I couldn't find it in my Grok history, so I don't know where it went. But given out what I did, talking about maintenance included, battery storage included, Grok gave a much higher answer. He gave like a $375 a month per household rate because it factored in the eventual requirement to replace the batteries and all that stuff. And again, that's not even factoring in corporate profits either. So Anyway, yeah, ridiculous. Of course they're going to blame it on Trump. They're blaming everything on Trump. So this comes from, surprisingly, Lindsey Graham. To my Democratic friends who yell about weaponization of the law, check this one out. I'm very glad to see the New York Court of Appeals tossed out the outrageous verdict from a case brought by New York Attorney General Leticia James against President Trump and his business interests. It was a contrived and manufactured legal hit job that abused the law in an unheard of fashion. I am glad the court righted a wrong. And from Fox News, breaking, a New York appellate court has thrown out the $500 million penalty Democrat AG Leticia James tried to enforce against President Trump in the civil case, labeling it excessive and a violation of the 8th Amendment. She violated the Constitution. Shouldn't she be forced to resign just because she brought charges against an American citizen that's in violation of the 8th Amendment? Dude, she's the Attorney General of New York. If anybody should know the Constitution word for word, back to front, it should be her. So she should have absolutely known that it would have violated his constitutional rights. And of course she did. It was all politicized. Absolutely ridiculous. And why didn't Fox News link the article? I mean, come on, Fox News. What the fuck, man? You're supposed to link your own articles. What the hell? All right, so anyway, from Senator Bernie Sanders. So the cost of public college tuition, Sweden, Norway, Finland, Denmark, all zero. United States, $9,596. When Republicans say it's okay to give billions in tax breaks to the top 1%, yeah, Democrats do that too. Don't tell me we can't afford to make public college available for free. U.S. students pay more for public college than any other wealthy nation. Average annual tuition. Denmark, Sweden, Norway, Finland, Germany, France, Switzerland, Netherlands, OECD average. Canada and the United States. Well, where's Australia? Or like, where's South Korea? Or, I don't know, Japan. There's quite a few countries that he left out. But I get the point, though. And I'm sure that's probably not an exaggerated number. That's probably how much it costs for public college tuition. Wouldn't surprise me. It is insane. And I don't know if you can regulate it. They probably should regulate it because colleges are receiving federal funding. It doesn't make a lot of sense that you receive federal funding and you could just charge any tuition you damn well please. I mean, shouldn't that be something that the Department of Education should be overseeing? Shouldn't they be regulating the rate of tuition costs? I think they should be. I don't know. I don't know if anybody's going to bring that up or not. But yeah, they absolutely should be regulating these prices because they're just getting absurd. And where are we at right now? Like $1.7 trillion in student loan debt collectively. It's pretty scary. It's not good. So anyway, Senator Eric Schmidt, Clapper, Comey, Brennan, and others probably ought to lawyer up. The Trump administration is exposing their lies and collusion, so it's no wonder they did everything within their power to try and keep him from winning back the White House. I mean, except burning the FBI burn bags. They definitely forgot that.
Gabbard has provided the information, so we're having
holy shit, I'm sorry, that was really loud.
Never seen before, and may explain one of the reasons why the Democrats were so terrified President Trump would get back into office. So he's exposing all of this, and now we're reaching the beginning of the accountability phase here. And I think this is just the beginning. I think indictments are going to come. I think indictments should come. The idea that a Soros organization colluded with Hillary Clinton to produce a fake Steele dossier that was then laundered through our intelligence agencies.
Look, and I hope Republicans don't hide behind this midterm election bullshit either. I hope they just go full steam ahead with indictments.
Not only to spy on President Trump, but to try to sideline an administration that was elected by the American people is a big, big deal. And there needs to be accountability here. And the way I think you probably get past the statute of limitations issues is a conspiracy charge. And I think that's where this might be headed. So Clapper, Comey, Brennan, and others probably ought to lawyer up.
Absolutely. And if they aggressively pursue them, even if it's during the midterm election season, I don't see how that would hurt them at all. If anything, it probably would help Republicans more so than anything, because people have been seeing this for just about a decade at this point. And everybody knows the whole Russia collusion thing was just outright lies. Anybody who has just even an ounce of common sense, they know this at this point. It's been crystal clear for years at this point. It made no sense even when it was first coming out. And I think that would only help Republicans in the midterms. Just my opinion. But I hope they do. I hope they aggressively pursue them. Of course, Democrats, they're going to frame it in any which way they want to frame it. However, Every time they do that, they make themselves look like lunatics. All right, so from Caroline Levitt, the White House press secretary, ICE director vows to flood Boston with immigration agents after Mayor Michelle Wu refused to end city's sanctuary laws. This is also coming from the New York Post. Let's see. ICE director vows to flood Boston with immigration agents after Mayor Michelle Wu refused to end the sanctuary laws. Acting ICE director Todd Lyons vowed to flood Boston with immigration agents, so on and so forth. I know, we read that like 3 times already. We're definitely going to flood the zone, especially in sanctuary jurisdictions, Lyons told the Howie Carr Show on Wednesday. Boston and Massachusetts decided to say that they wanted to stay sanctuary. Sanctuary does not mean safer streets. It means more criminal aliens out and about the neighborhood, but 100% you will see a larger ICE presence. Look, they have to know that these criminal illegal aliens are going into these sanctuary cities because it's probably offering the best protection from the administrators, the politicians, the law enforcement even, than any other place in the country. So of course they're going to be descending into these cities and just trying to live there rather than anywhere else because they're a sanctuary city. They say it loud and proud. They tell everybody who's an illegal immigrant, come here. Come to our city. You can live here. We're going to protect you. Even if you're a criminal or not, which they all are because they came in illegally, that would make you a criminal because you violated federal law. All right, so let's see if there's anything else here. Yeah, so it comes after the city's mayor on Tuesday publicly rejected Attorney General Pam Bondi's ultimatum to axe its sanctuary city law or risk cuts to federal funding. Quote, stop attacking our cities to hide your administration's failures. Unlike the Trump administration, Boston follows the law. Dude, no, you don't. You're harboring criminals. People who sneak into the country illegally are criminals. You are not following the law. You're protecting criminals. And Boston will not back down from who we are or what we stand for. We will not back away from our community that has made us the safest city in the country. Oh my God, dude, give me a fucking break. Wu bellowed at a raucous press conference. Dude, hold on a minute. Hold on. Let's correct the record here. I don't know. I've never been to Boston, so who knows? Maybe it is the safest city in the country. I somehow doubt it, though. No, Boston's not the safest city, but it ranks among the safer large cities. Really? So Boston apparently is one of the safer cities. Based on available data, Boston's safety varies depending on the metrics and comparisons used. Let's see. 72% of respondents viewed it as safe to live in or visit, just behind Dallas at 74%. Analysis of FBI crime data also places Boston as the 10th safest city among those with populations over 300,000, with a violent crime rate lower than cities like Dallas, Philly, and Chicago. Well, yeah, duh. In 2024, Boston recorded a historic low of 24 homicides in the whole city, a 35% drop from the previous year and the lowest since 1957. Damn. I mean, all right, I'll give her credit for that. However, overall violent crime rates and property crimes have seen slight increases, with a 2023 FBI report ranking Boston 16th safest among the 50 largest cities for total violent crime. All right, well, yeah, I would say that the FBI, 2023 though, yeah, it was Biden's FBI, so. But anyway, that's what Grok says at least, and yeah, he's got a bunch of web pages to back it up. I don't know if they have any .gov, any citations from any of them. I mean, come on, dude. Axios. I'm not familiar with crimegrade.org, but maybe it's somewhat legit. Neighborhoodscout.com, Deep Sentinel, Boston.com, SafeWise, Travel Safe. So, Space Coast Daily. All right. Real link. All right. Reddit. Dude, why are you quoting Reddit? I mean, come on, man. Compared to other cities, how safe is the Boston area? Okay, well, that's just all opinion, though. Well, I guess just take it for what it is. If you live in Boston and if you disagree, drop a comment, because I'd be curious to know, because like I'm kind of stuck in the position where I kind of have to give her credit for it now. Because Boston apparently is one of the safer cities in the country. All right. So let's see, where were we? Oh, yeah. Never mind. Sorry, this is wrong tab. All right, we're good. We're back on track here. So, from FBI Director Kash Patel, latest from your FBI in Washington, D.C., pursuant to POTUS's initiative, August 20th through 21st, the FBI joined federal partners in 31 more arrests last night, 6 illegal firearm recoveries, 7 drug seizures. Charges include theft, assault with deadly weapon, drug offenses, assault on an officer, unlawful entry, and more. In total, law enforcement has made 630 arrests since the operation started. This is a team effort across multiple federal partners. They're working around the clock to get it done, and your capital city is safer every day because of it. More to come. And speaking of FBI Director Kash Patel, he confirmed there was no legal basis for the Mar-a-Lago raid. Well. There was no predicate to go and invade Donald Trump's home. So this is about 1:19. Take a quick look here and just check this out.
There was no crime.
That sounds like a banger.
There was no predicate to go and invade Donald Trump's home. We have answered that definitively. Now, you know me, working backwards from that point, we are going to hold people accountable who weaponize that system of justice for the following reason. We, the FBI, must restore accountability and credibility to the American public so we can arrest more top 10 predators, so we can go after more terrorists, so we can find the other people involved in Abbey-gate. These are the cases that matter to the FBI, and the distractions, to put it mildly, from the prior leadership regime are what thwarted the American public's belief and credibility in the FBI. And so when they do raids like Mar-a-Lago, now the American public knows it was made up. It was completely false. It was completely unconstitutional pursuant to our judicial courts. And we are working into those matters to say, why did you do it? We know there was no reason. Now it's time for accountability. And that's who we're talking to. And by the way, Larry, I'd like to announce on your show, if you got nothing to hide and you were in DOJ and FBI before, you're welcome to come talk to the FBI at any time. And if you don't want to come talk to us, we're going to come find you, and we're going to put you in an investigative position and posture that will make you feel very uncomfortable, kind of like you did when you weaponized the government. The only difference is we're going to be doing it on a factual, legal, and constitutional basis to do so.
Oh, man, talk about a breath of fresh air with the FBI now. Yeah, the FBI lost so much credibility over the years, and it finally appears that the FBI is finally getting back on track again. So that's good. And I got one more from Kash Patel. Breaking agreements have been reached with 10 FBI whistleblowers and counsel to include a combination of back pay, security clearance, and reinstatement. We greatly appreciate President Trump's commitment to transparency and accountability. Thank you to Chuck Grassley, Senator Grassley, for working with us to make this happen. All right. I mean, yeah, there's whistleblower laws for a reason. They're supposed to have protection. And obviously, they weren't adhered to when they tried to blow the whistle, because they were obviously fired, because they're giving them back pay, they're returning their security clearance back to them, and they're reinstating them. So that's a good thing. It's a very good thing. All right, so this is really long. I haven't read this yet. So this is in regards to the Leticia James case. So obviously Trump's got something to say about it. So I'll go ahead and read it for you. And matter of fact, before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to repost this on my profile. It's at SPAETHON. It's the same as this YouTube channel, except there's an N at the end. So if you want to check out my Twitter profile, or you can just go straight to Caroline Levitt's Twitter profile, or Twitter, X, damn it, X. Come on, man. I've been on this platform since 2013. It's still hard to make the switch. All right, so let's start. Deep breath. So total victory in the fake New York State Attorney Leticia James case. I greatly respect the fact that the court had the courage to throw out this unlawful and disgraceful decision that was hurting business all throughout New York State. Others were afraid to do business there. The amount, including interest and penalties, was over $550 million. It was a political witch hunt, in a business sense, the likes of which no one has seen before. This was a case of election interference by the city and state trying to show illegally that I did things that were wrong when, in fact, everything I did was absolutely correct and even perfect. Every single dollar was thrown out, even the penalties imposed on us by the corrupt judge, one of the most overturned in history, Arthur Engoron. I wasn't given a jury, and during the course of the trial, which lasted a long time, was not given one ruling in my favor by his political hack. But worse than him, if that's possible, was Leticia James, a corrupt and incompetent attorney general who only brought this case in order to hurt me politically. She is a Trump deranged lunatic. They made me bond the outrageous sum, which never happened before, and which cost me millions of dollars a month. It should have never been allowed to happen, and everyone knew it. Importantly, the vote was 5-0. I am so honored by Justice David Friedman's great words of wisdom, which should be read by everyone. I would also like to thank the court for having the courage to make this decision, which is already going down as one of the worst business persecutions in the history of our country. Sadly, there are other cases against me that are equally disgraceful, including those headed up by corrupt judges like Juan Merchan, whose daughter collected millions of dollars in fees from crooked Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, while her father shockingly refused to recuse himself from a vicious and corrupt trial, which is also under appeal, one in which every legal pundit in New York said there was no case. Even editorial boards said, do not do this. Judge Merchan gave me an unprecedented gag order, not letting me talk about him or his daughter, or the fact that the appellate judges thought that he should not be doing the case, but he did it anyway. Many lawyers said that his daughter and him created the greatest conflict of interest they had ever seen. Judge Lewis Kaplan, the other remaining case, whose wife, family, and friends attended his 2 trials, is as mean and nasty as anyone I have ever met. That case, also on appeal, should also never have been brought, and he should be admonished for abuse and every other thing that can be thrown at a corrupt judge. He loved the publicity and would not let us present the irrefutable evidence that we wanted to present. This Clinton-appointed judge should not be allowed to get away with this scam. These were all political trials in an effort to destroy my viability as a presidential candidate before, during, and after the election. They were strongly coordinated with the Biden-Harris campaign and will go down in history as among the most corrupt cases ever brought. These 2 cases are even more ridiculous than the corrupt Leticia James case and will be found out to be so in the very near future. All of these judges should be ashamed of themselves for allowing them to happen. They are political hacks who did everything possible to hurt me as a candidate. This was an attack by the Biden-Harris administration on their political opponent, me. It is such an honor to have withstood it, thrived, and even become president of the United States despite the horrible things that were done to me. I'd like to thank and congratulate my son Eric Trump and all of the many people in the Trump organization that fought so strongly for justice. My legal team refused to give up against heavy odds. This is a great day for New York City and state. Wow. Incredible, man. Yeah, it was long-winded, but I mean, obviously it was going to be long-winded because he had a lot to say on the matter because it was all a witch hunt. It was all complete fabricated bullshit from day one. All of it. So yeah, it'll be nice to see if those get thrown out on appeal, as they definitely should be. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens there. But yeah, he's right. After all those trials, after the two possible, I think they were working on a 3rd impeachment, and yeah, they put him through the fucking ringer. They even arrested him and had him take a fucking mugshot in Georgia. And they even raided his home. The FBI raided Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago, where his primary residence was at the time. Just insane. They did anything and everything they could, all this lawfare bullshit, to try to get him to not become president again, and he still did, against all the odds. Not only did he become president again, he also won every single swing state, and he won the general majority. He won the actual majority of votes, too. The first time a Republican has in 20 years. So, and I'm sure that was including the rampant, most likely cheating that the Democrats were engaged with in 2024, as I have no doubt that they were, because they were in 2020. Playing all these dirty games, ballot harvesting, and God knows what else. Trying to throw out as many Republican ballots as they could get their hands on. I'm not saying I got proof of that. I'm just saying it's my own opinion. I'm allowed to have an opinion. All right, so anyway, let's move on to House Democrats. Republican cuts to SNAP and Medicaid will make life harder and more expensive for working Americans. Republicans do not have a plan to lower the cost of living. They're only making it worse. Yeah, right. So, obviously, they're making cuts to SNAP and Medicaid because it's rife with fraud. There's a lot of illegal immigrants that are taking advantage of these programs, and they shouldn't be. So they're going to claw back a lot of that money. That's going to people who absolutely have no business being on it in the first place. And my simple response was, cite the bill. You can't. And that's my point. They say that they're making cuts, but cite the bill. Tell us why the cuts are being made, as I'm sure it's explained in the bill. But they won't do that. They absolutely won't. I mean, they didn't comment, so obviously they're not interested in doing that. Trump bad, you maggot. CNN told me so. Good, now the lazy asses can go get a job and support themselves like the rest of us. Yep. No more illegals on it. Fraud. Democrats suck. Oh wait, what is this? Voter registration by party. What? It's down 2.1 million in the Democrat Party? That seems to suggest that they've lost 2.1 million registered voters. And obviously they're switching because the Republicans are up 2.4. Dude, that looks so bad. That looks so bad, man. I gotta give that a like. I'm gonna have to check that out later. Wow. Trump versus Democrat and Republican Party approval favorability ratings. And Wall Street Journal, CNBC, Marquette, Pew, and Rasmussen. Republican Party approval is in the green. And Trump approval is in the red. And then Democratic Party approval, favorability is in the blue. Check that out, man. Looking good. I'll give that one another like, too. I'm not familiar with these. I haven't seen that. But anyway, from Doge AI, Doge AI is always putting in its 2 cents whenever there's not just a Democrat, but Republicans, too. It replies to almost all the politicians that make a point about something. But it says the real issue is the bloated bureaucracies and systemic abuse. And see, SNAP and Medicaid, they hemorrhage cash through fraud, mismanagement, and loopholes exploited by illegal immigrants. Not lack of funding. Not only that, but just, American citizens, they take advantage of it too. Too many of them. Too many do. And there are people who can actually use it, especially senior citizens. Even more especially senior citizens who don't have a whole lot of retirement money and they're depending on their Social Security for paying what little bills that they can pay with it. Which, by the way, it's been overly inflated over the last 5 years. So, probably a $1,300 or $1,400 Social Security check could get you in 2019. Could probably only buy you like the equivalent of $900 worth of shit today, or bills or whatnot. And I mean, with rent, it's gone up even worse than that. So anyway, let's see. So speaking of which, oh yeah. All right, hold on. This is still from the Post. I was there for a second. I was thinking I was reading my bookmarks. But anyway, I'll read this. So from Mary Verse, cost of living went down after Biden left office. Thank you, Republicans. She's got a couple of screenshots. Grocery prices experienced the biggest drop in almost 5 years. Food at home costs fell 0.4% in April. But look, it's not going up. It's been going up consistently since freaking COVID happened. So for it to even move by 0.5%, that's good. That's a good movement. Core inflation falls to the lowest rate in 4 years. Well, there you go. All right. Nice gaslight there. It would be a shame if someone put it out. Uh-oh. Democrats put illegals on SNAP and fucked everything up for the Americans who were eligible. You fucked up. You know it, and we know it. Enjoy the next few decades being the minority party. No one's voting for you. Yeah, God willing. How many House Democrats have voted against the Laken-Riley Act and Title IX? Yeah, a lot. I think 100% of them did. The cuts target non-working Americans who are not disabled and have no reason to sit at home and collect other people's money. And that also applies to the same group that he's talking about if they have children that are 14 and older. If they have kids that are 14 and older, they got to go back to work. They got to work a minimum of 20 hours a week, or else they're going to lose their I don't know about Medicaid. They might lose that too, but I'm just talking about food stamps, SNAP benefits. So, all right. Anyway, let's head on down to the next one here from the U.S. Commerce Department. Joint statement on a United States-European Union framework. And there was a good reason that I set this up, so just reread this title here. Joint statement on a United States-European Union framework on an agreement on reciprocal, fair, and balanced trade. I want to say that the EU, I think their GDP is over $20 trillion or $16 trillion or something like that. I saw a crazy number somewhere. Let's see. So these are all the different ones. So the U.S., here, let me make that a little larger. And of course, I'm not going to read through all this, so don't freak out. I'm not going to read through all this. The United States and EU are pleased to announce that they've reached an agreement on an agreement of reciprocal fair and balanced trade, which this framework agreement represents a concrete demonstration of our commitment to fair, balanced, and mutually beneficial trade and investment, so on and so forth. Better relationship reflects acknowledgement by the EU of the concerns of the U.S. and our joint determination to resolve our trade imbalances. Good. So anyway, the key terms include the European Union intends to eliminate tariffs on all U.S. industrial goods and to provide preferential market access for a wide range of U.S. seafood and agricultural goods, including tree nuts, dairy products, so on. They'll immediately take the necessary steps to extend the joint statement of the U.S. and European Union on a tariff agreement announced on August 21st. That was announced on August 21st of 2020 with respect to lobster. All right, anyway, the U.S. commits to apply the higher of either the U.S. most favored nation tariff rate or a tariff rate of 15%. And then they go into details like chemicals and other manufacturing stuff. The U.S. intends to promptly ensure that the tariff rate comprised of the MFN tariff and the tariff imposed pursuant to Section 232 of the Trade Expansion Act of 1962 applied to originating goods of the European Union subject to sections so on. Let's see. And lumber does not exceed 15%. Same applies to pharmaceuticals and semiconductors. They talk about automobiles and a lot of Section 232 language in here. Aluminum, steel, derivative products of aluminum and steel, domestic markets. All right, so they'll negotiate rules of origin that ensure that the benefits of the agreement on reciprocal trade accrue predominantly to the United States and the European Union. Let's see. As part of this effort, the EU intends to procure U.S. liquefied natural gas, oil, and nuclear energy products with an expected offtake valued at $750 billion through 2028. The EU intends to purchase at least $40 billion worth of U.S. AI chips, dude. Fuck. I'm telling you what, man. I think it's still probably a good time to buy NVIDIA stock. All I'm saying. I don't know who else is producing AI chips, but I'm pretty sure that NVIDIA is leading the way. And for them to commit to purchasing that much money is worth... Look, NVIDIA is worth more than the entire crypto industry all put together. NVIDIA's market cap right now is like $4 trillion. And crypto is, what is it, like 3.2 or 3 point something trillion dollars. Just one company is worth more than the entirety of cryptocurrency. So, little nuts, little crazy. I mean... Is it a monopoly? Probably not, technically speaking, because there's other companies producing AI chips. But it might call into question at what point is a company too damn big, too damn wealthy. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. So the U.S. and EU share one of the world's largest economic relationships. Yep, mutual investment stocks that exceed $5 trillion. European companies are expected to invest in an additional $600 billion across strategic sectors in the U.S. through 2028. And anyway, it keeps going on and on. Like, there's a whole bunch of different points that they're covering here. I think they mentioned pharmaceuticals again. Yeah, so a lot's happening between the U.S. and the EU with regard to trade. We're receiving tariff revenue to the likes of which we've never seen before. So much trade revenue. The hundreds of billions of dollars. Billions and billions of dollars. World Trade Organization seek the adoption of a permanent multilateral commitment. All right, so I'm going to link that below if you want to check that out. That's on commerce.gov. So if you want to check that out in the links, it'll start with commerce.gov, and you can click right on that, and you can read all that for you. Get your knowledge on. All right, so from Rapid Response 47, HHS Gov terminates California sex ed grant after it refuses to drop radical gender lessons. From FoxNews.com. So Kennedy's HHS terminates California sex ed grant after it refuses to drop the curriculum. An office within the Department of Health and Human Services terminated a federal grant funding California sex education program aimed at preventing teen pregnancy and the spread of sexually transmitted diseases after the West Coast state reportedly refused to remove radical gender ideology from its curriculum. And California's refusal to comply with federal law and remove egregious gender ideology from federally funded sex ed materials is unacceptable. Andrew Gradison, Acting Assistant Secretary of the Administration for Children and Families, said in a comment provided to Fox News Digital on Thursday. Quote, the Trump administration will not allow taxpayer dollars to be used to indoctrinate children. Accountability is coming for every state that uses federal funds to teach children delusional gender ideology. Just reminds me of Kindergarten Cop. Boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. Anyway, the Administration for Children and Families, an office under HHS's umbrella that funds state, local, and tribal organizations to provide support for families such as childcare, announced Thursday morning that it was terminating the funding to California's Personal Responsibility Education Program Grant, or PREP grant. The PREP program aims to educate California's youth ages 10 to 19 on preventing teen pregnancy and the spread of sexually transmitted infections, which the state says has led to students in the program delaying sexual activity, increased condom or contraceptive use for sexually active youth, or reducing number of sexual partners. Dude, when I was in high school about 20 years ago, they preached abstinence. Abstinence. They didn't show you how to use a condom. They didn't show you, what little products and sex toys and positions and like Kama Sutra type bullshit. They didn't show any of that crap in school. They said, don't do it. They tried to scare us into not doing it. Like abstinence. You don't want to be pregnant as a teenager. It's not good. You have to get married first. If you want to get pregnant when you're straight out of high school, that's fine, but get married. Do it the right way. Do it the responsible way. Get married, start having your kids, and build your life together. And don't freaking divorce each other. Which, by the way, women, they initiate divorce 80% of the time anyway, so men, they're not divorcing. Not like women are. But anyway, not related. So anyway, program services are engaging non-judgmental, medically accurate, and tailored to the unique needs of youth participants and their communities. The PrEP website states, services are offered in a range of settings, including schools, juvenile justice facilities, homeless shelters, and foster care group homes. California PrEP activities also include community engagement and promotion of clinical linkages to youth-friendly reproductive health services. Look, if you want to provide all those services, that's fine. You're just going to have to pay for it then. If, like, women or men now, if you're trying to preach that stuff in these curriculums, well, then you're just going to have to eat the cost then, because you're just delusional. Because women are not men, men are not women, and that's just the end of it. At least for now. Unless another Democrat, a demon rat Democrat, gets back into office, then who knows? They'll probably reinstate all this insanity. But anyway, PrEP specifically aims to assist those who reside, attend school, or receive reproductive health services in a high-need geographic area, are homeless and or a runaway, or attend an alternative or continuation school, or are in or emancipated from foster care, or they're in the juvenile justice or probation system, or they identify as LGBTQ, or receiving treatment for mental health or substance abuse issues, or they have specific needs, or they live in a migrant farm worker families, or are an expectant/parenting female youth of up to age 21. And the PrEP grant has been under scrutiny by the Trump administration since at least March, when the Administration for Children and Families requested program leaders send copies of its curriculum and other relevant course materials to them for review. The probe was initially launched to ensure the state's sexual education programming is medically accurate and age appropriate. Absolutely. I wonder if I don't know if they're going to put it on here, but I wonder if they actually shared some of that material somewhere, or if they made that for public viewing. I'm sure they did. I mean, you're getting federal funding. Anything that's getting federal funding, the book should be wide open to the public, because you're using my money, the taxpayers' money. All right, so what is this here? So Administration for Children and Families, Office of the Assistant Attorney, Washington, D.C., Sydney, Armendariz, California State Personal Responsibility Education Program. All right, Matthew Green. Let's see, that's who it's addressed to. Let's see. Regarding State Personal Responsibility Education Program for fiscal years 2023, 24, and 25. So this letter constitutes official notifications that the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and so on and so forth, is hereby terminating all California state, no, I didn't highlight it in the right place, is terminating all California State Personal Responsibility Education Program awards and suspending the funding effective on August 21st. Immediately. Did they go over how much money, though? I'm just curious to know how much money. Is it something ridiculous like $130,000 and that's it? Because it sounds like they're about to get yanked like hundreds of millions of dollars worth of funding. That's what it sounds like to me, which it probably is, because there's a lot of people that live in California. So anyway, that's not kind of a long letter. That's a really long letter, actually. God, I can't stand Fox News, man. Oh, it's 6 pages. All right. Yep, 6 pages in total. So that's there if you want to, muster up the courage to deal with this website. But it'll be in the description if you want to check it out. So I'll just wrap it up with maybe just one more paragraph because they talk about the money here. That's what I was curious about. Previous grant funding shows California's PrEP program received just under $6 million from the federal government in fiscal year of 2022. All in, California could lose $12.3 million in funding that it has not yet received, covering multiple years, according to HHS. In my opinion, what's probably going to happen is some nonprofit or some NGO organization, or even some rich Democrat, or maybe even the George Soros guys, whoever the hell's in charge of that shit now, they're probably going to give the money to the state so they can keep doing this, boys are girls and girls are boys now bullshit. That would not surprise me if they just got private funding. They're like, here you go. Here's $12.3 million. Just keep teaching them brain dead lunacy. Absolute crazy shit. That goes against anything that's science. That's rooted in science and reality. All right, so anyway, we'll just go back to the list. So that'll be there for your viewing pleasure. If you want to check it out, it's in the description, foxnews.com. All right, so the next one, Bureau of Reclamation. Why are hydropower plants easy to get along with? Because they always go with the flow. Hydropower harnesses the natural flow of water to generate clean, renewable energy. Water flows from a river or reservoir. Moving water spins massive turbines like underwater pinwheels. Turbines power generators to create electricity, and water continues downstream. Nature's energy cycle in motion. Hydropower equals flowing water turned into reliable power for millions of homes. And here's a schematic of what it looks like. So yeah, there you go. That's the generator generating the power. There's the shaft or the cylinder. Yeah, the shaft, turbine generator shaft. And there's the whole thing's the turbine and the generator. And there's the water. It's like flowing in through there. Probably flowing in through this way too, I'm sure. The wicket gates. And it just flows right through. And as it flows through, it just turns those fins. And it makes electricity. Just in case if you didn't know how hydroelectric power generation works, there you go. That's it in a nutshell. All right, so from GOP, huge reductions in crime under President Trump's leadership. Washington, D.C. will be safe again. And according to the numbers that they have, make D.C. safe again. Carjackings are down 83%. Robberies are down 46%. Car thefts 21%. And violent crime down 22%. I'm not crazy about the fact that they don't have the sources cited. Is it from the FBI? Is it from, like, who? Because Democrats are going to be questioning that. Like, you got to be fully transparent. Otherwise, they're going to try to rip this apart, which I'm sure they probably are. But anyway, I believe what they're saying. I'm sure this is what it is. I would just kind of appreciate that they would just put something down here in the fine print somewhere. Like Bureau of whatever. Bureau of Statistics or the Federal Bureau of Investigation or whatever. Anyway, so Democrats are having a meltdown over this. They are traitors. Absolutely are. Damn, dude, they got 11 comments out of that and only 6 likes. Sounds like somebody's pissed off. Every accusation, oh yeah, whatever. Keto protectors, yeah, right. That's a laugh. Pizzagate, are you fucking kidding, dude? But yeah, no Democrats are laughing at the gullibility of MAGA. Yeah, right. I had a feeling there was pushback happening in that comment because they only got 6 likes and 11 comments. So usually whenever I see something like that, it's probably a bunch of Democrats just pissed off. They don't have the guts to put their comment here and like on the main comments page, so they just dig into somebody else's and then use that as their opportunity to vent and get all pissed off. So anyway, what about elite pedos and traitors? God bless America. I mean, look, a lot of Democrats and a lot of lefties, they follow the GOP. I mean, this is the GOP's official X profile. So you're going to get a kind of a mixed bag from time to time with regard to the left versus the right. But it's really irritating from the left, from their perspective, because they're just they're always so vile, and they're constantly just saying like nasty names, like you're a Nazi, you're a xenophobe, you're a pedo, you're a this, that, and the other. Like they resort to name calling because they've just got too many feelings. It's all their feelings. And if they don't feel good, then they just resort to trying to hurt your feelings. That's why they just name call, because they're all feelings based. But it would be nice if they just presented an actual argument as to why this is not a good thing, or it's not real, or it's not accurate. It's frustrating because they just have I don't know, the most ridiculous comebacks in most cases. What is this? My news feed, DC crackdown, Epstein files. I mean, I get it. I understand what he's saying. I'm a little irritated about that too, with the whole, they didn't drop the Epstein files. And it's only given Democrats an avenue to just rage at the Republicans and Trump about it. So yeah, I really wish they would have just released everything that they had, even if there really wasn't anything. Even if the Biden administration had destroyed most of it, they should have just come right out and just said that immediately. Because at the time, when Trump first got in, they would have had no reason to destroy all that stuff. Because if Democrats would have immediately said, well, Trump's in the Epstein files. No, he wasn't. Because if he was, Kamala Harris would have released all that shit. All kinds of people would have been leaking all kinds of shit to Kamala Harris when she was running for president. Or even early when Joe Biden was still running. Or even Hillary Clinton probably could have used that information back in 2016. There's no fucking way that he's in this Epstein shit. Nope, makes no sense. They could have used it in 2020. Another example. Constitution, Democrats, cast it into the fire, destroy it. Republicans, okay. All right. Look, I'm not too crazy about Republicans myself, but there's a hell of a lot more good Republicans than there are good Democrats these days. I mean, it's just no question. Yep, here's these freaking idiots. Oh, it's apparently from their account, I guess. Oh, H-1 visas while letting pedos go back to Israel. It's not a, yeah, whatever. I don't know about all these people are idiots. I think they're a bunch of feds. That's what a lot of America First types, Republicans and whatnot. I think they're just a bunch of fucking feds. Although they're still out there marching. But yeah, they're feds that probably no longer have a job, so they just have nothing else to do but march all day. Because back in the Biden administration, these assholes they would pull up in a white box truck, like a U-Haul truck. And they would all be loaded up in these U-Haul trucks. They would pull up to wherever it is that they wanted to do this bullshit. They funneled out wearing matching clothes and everything, and they would hold up like upside down flags or Nazi flags or whatever. And they would just march for about, 100 yards. Just long enough for the guys that have the cameras that were there with them. They jumped out of the U-Haul too. They got it on footage, about 30 seconds. And as soon as they yell like, okay, we're good, or something like that, then they all just loaded right back up into the U-Haul and they just disappeared. They were out there for like a minute and a half, just long enough to just peddle bullshit low IQ propaganda. So that's why I think they're a bunch of feds. Just low IQ feds. Because Democrats, they don't really seem to have the intelligence they once had. Not these days. At least not that it would seem. All right, move on from the GOP and those crazy comments down there. So, all right, some BLS labor statistics from April to July of 2025. The number of employed youth rises by 1.2 million up to 21.1 million total. So that's really good news. Just over, a month. In July of 2025, 53.1% of young people ages 16 to 24 were employed. Would that surprise you? I mean, honestly, I think it could be a little higher. I think only 53% ages 16 to 24. My first job I had, I was 12. Granted, it was in the summer, but I was doing landscaping when I was 12. And then my first job that was collecting a paycheck the government took money out of and all that shit, I was 16. I was 16. Yep, worked for a restaurant. Then I worked in the mall after that. I've had a job pretty much since then. So, yeah, working part-time after high school, as long as you can juggle your classes okay. I mean, if you're gunning to be the valedictorian or something, then yeah, okay, you probably don't have time to work. But most people, they got time. Oh, but my Xbox. Oh, but my Fortnite. Or, but, God knows, whatever, dude. But anyway, it's good. 1.2 million increase. And I'll leave that linked if you want to check it out. From the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And this is from Senator Tom Cotton. Drug cartels kill thousands of Americans each year. Yeah, I forgot to zoom back in. I apologize. Let's see. Drug cartels kill thousands of Americans each year, more than any other terrorist group. I've long said the military has an important role to play in stopping the cartels. I applaud President Trump and the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, for working to save American lives. From the Wall Street Journal. I think I may have to try to open this up in another tab because I think they paywall it. Don't they? Yeah, they paywall it. So let me see. I believe this has worked before for the Wall Street Journal. Not 100%, but it might work. Matter of fact, I wonder if they'll let me in if I have a VPN on. I wonder if they'll let me in on. Yeah, see, they blocked it. No, it probably just applies to everybody. I'm trying to get around because like some of these online publications, you can get around it if you're going to their site for the first time. I think the LA Times does it. There's a few other news websites where if it's your first time going, they'll give you 3 free articles or they'll give you 5 free articles or whatever. And I'm sure they track it by your IP or whatever. But yeah, if you have a VPN, you could probably skirt around it. But this isn't like VPN enabled. It's just in incognito window. But anyway, so I'm only going to be able to read just a tiny bit of it. But Trump orders the Pentagon to deploy 3 warships against Latin American drug cartels. They're deploying warships against the cartels. I think we're finally going to war against these assholes. The U.S. destroyers are expected to patrol the South American coast, including waters near Venezuela. Well, that's probably the real reason they're there, because they're keeping an eye on Venezuela. But for good reason, because they're shipping drugs up here from there. So anyway, President Trump has ordered the Pentagon to send 3 Navy warships to interdict drug cartels off the coast of South America, including near Venezuela, expanding the Pentagon's role in combating illegal drug smuggling and intensifying a U.S. confrontation with the country's president, Nicolas Maduro. The guided missile destroyers will have authority to interdict drug shipments, according to 2 people familiar with the planning, giving the Navy a direct, I'm sure like a direct go-ahead to take out any smugglers if they happen to spot them. But yeah, that's a semi-submersible. They use those freaking things. And whoever owned that one, they were actually kind of smart because they painted it blue. Most of them that I've seen, they're not painted to match any color of the ocean or the white caps or anything like that. Just some regular ass looking boat that appears to be on the verge of sinking. But yeah, they do that because they think they can get around the Coast Guard, the Navy, the authorities, and they keep getting busted with them. I don't know why they keep trying these things, because I'm sure that ain't cheap to do. It's probably not cheap to, or probably in something you could quickly put together and cross the freaking Caribbean Ocean with. I mean, just imagine being in those things. They probably lose like 1 in 5 of them just by sinking, because they're probably made like shit. I don't even want to imagine that. Like how many drug smugglers end up freaking drowning out there. Probably a crazy ass number. Imagine all the drugs that are getting lost out there too. Probably hundreds of millions of dollars worth. All right, so from Howard Lutnick, it's official. We have finalized our historic U.S.-EU framework agreement on reciprocal, fair, and balanced trade. The EU has agreed to open its $20 trillion market, the second largest in the world, behind the great USA. That's where I read that figure from. I thought it was up there. This deal eliminates EU tariffs on all U.S. industrial goods, creates historic access to the vast European markets for American farmers, fishermen, and ranchers, delivers $750 billion in European energy demand during President Trump's term, and EU firms will invest an additional $600 billion in new investments in America. The America First trade agenda has secured the most important trading partner, creating a major win for American workers, U.S. industries, and our national security. Tariffs should be one of America's favorite words. See the full joint statement below. Which I'm wondering if that's how that, I don't know, up there when I was reading all that lingo with regard to the trade, somehow I think it got mixed up. It was supposed to be below this, and somehow it found its way up there, which is why I was kind of frazzled when I came across it, because I wasn't really prepared, because I thought I had something attached to it, and this was supposed to be attached to it. But anyway, whatever, moving on. Can't turn back time now. So, can't turn it back ever. All right, NCSC. The NCSC, Advancing Counterintelligence and Security Excellence. The U.S. Navy sailor convicted of spying for China. Let me just get an exact advancing. Okay, NCSC. So, the National Counterintelligence and Security Center. I can't keep up with all these acronyms, man. Our federal government's got like thousands and thousands of acronyms and departments and sub-departments and sub-sub-sub-departments. It's pretty hard to keep up with. All right, so this is absolutely crazy. The Navy sailor convicted. He was spying on China. What happened? DOJ? We are sorry, the page you're looking for can't be found on the Department of Justice website. What the hell? What'd they do? Decide to classify it or something? This article is top secret. You have no authority to view this. Look, they put it right here. I don't know why it's not there. Let's see, 22 hours ago. Yeah, it's their top comment. Or their top post. What the hell? I wonder why it's gone. Yeah, that's weird, man. That's weird. They took it down. All right, well, I guess I'm not going to be seeing that. That sucks. I'll leave the link. Maybe there's just some connection error, like a 404 or something. Usually it would put it on the page if it was, but I don't know. Maybe there's something going on with the website. So I'll leave it linked either way if you're curious to read about a U.S. Navy sailor who was convicted for spying for China. Sounds like treason to me. I mean, we might as well be at war against China. We're in an economic war at the very least. All right, so another one from NCSC. Hostile nation states are targeting emerging technology. Oh, wait, no. Hold on. I was confused for a second. I was like, wait, I got another one? Okay, all right. Well, let's just go with it. Nah, I was still on that page. It's on their profile. All right, U.S. mission to NATO. If we want to depend less on China for some of the things we rely on in everyday life, we've got to start making more of that in the United States. That's what President Trump is focused on. And this is from Secretary Marco Rubio.
That's what President Trump is focused on, is bringing back those factories, bringing back that industrial capability, bringing back all those things we once used to do in this country but now buy from China, because they can hold that over our head. If this continues, they can, in the future, blackmail us. They're already doing it now. They could threaten to cut us off of things we need, like medicine, for example,
anytime.
Pharmaceuticals, if we don't do what they want. That's a very vulnerable position to be in.
Absolutely is. And it's scary. Like with the use of magnets, apparently they're manufacturing and distributing like 98% of all the magnets on Earth, some insane number like that. And yet, like you said, the pharmaceuticals, the rare earth minerals. I mean, it goes on and on. There's a lot of stuff that China could just immediately just stop providing to us, and we'd be in some trouble. Which, of course, it's a two-way street. I'm sure there's stuff that we provide to China likewise that they would probably have a tough time dealing without, such as, soybeans and corn. I mean, I'm pretty sure that China very heavily relies on our food imports. Because China, they don't really have the best land to grow all the food that they need for their entire population, so they have to import a lot of it. All right, so from Jesse Waters, breaking, Tulsi Gabbard just dozed the Office of National Intelligence. Quote, we have more than doubled in size, bloated with bureaucracy. It's rife with politicization and weaponization, the very thing it was created to try to prevent and get after. Unfortunately, it has failed to meet its mandate. This will save taxpayers more than $700 million a year, man. Let's go.
As you know, Jesse, this organization, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, was created 20 years ago in the wake of the egregious and strategic intelligence failures around the Islamist terrorist attack on 9/11 in our country. And this office was created by Congress to get after those problems, to make sure that there is one independent body providing that oversight.
Actually, didn't the NSA also get created right after 9/11? It wasn't just the DNI. I think it was maybe it might have not been the NSA, but I think there was another big intelligence agency, like maybe the Department of National Security or something. Or maybe all the above. Maybe they created all of them after 9/11.
Over the intelligence community, integrating intelligence, making sure that the left hand is sharing information with the right hand, and fundamentally and most importantly, ensuring that the intelligence that is being provided to the President of the United States is timely, it is relevant, and it is apolitical, objective. That he is actually getting the information he needs to make the critical decisions that he makes every single day. Fast forward to where we are today. ODNI is more than doubled in size. It is bloated with bureaucracy. It is rife with politicization, weaponization, the very thing that it was created to try to prevent and get after. And unfortunately, it has failed to meet its mandate. And so this launch today of ODNI 2.0, as you said, we will save taxpayers more than $700 million every year, cutting the organization by over 40%, and making sure that those who are working at the Office of the Director of National Intelligence are aggressively getting after our core mission, which is really ensuring the safety, security, and freedom of the American people.
Hell yeah, son. Yeah, she actually came out with that yesterday. And if you watch my episode from yesterday, I mean, I had some microphone difficulties, but yeah, so she dropped that yesterday, and she actually had a string of posts, but she also published a letter too, which I read yesterday, and that might actually be on my X profile too. I'm pretty sure that I shared it, but she's got it on her X profile, Tulsi Gabbard. So, and I've got one more here from DNI Gabbard, Office of the DNI. So this is from the DNI's Twitter handle, from their profile. So according to DNI Gabbard, on the 37 clearances revoked by the President of the United States, holding a security clearance, it really speaks about trust. They chose to put their own self-interest, their own personal ambition, their own political interests ahead of the oath they took to the Constitution. So yeah, they did. They revoked 37 officials from the DNI. She announced that yesterday. So let's check it out.
Yeah, well, you know, holding a security clearance, it really speaks about trust.
Yeah.
Trust in those who have a security clearance, that they will protect our nation's secrets, and that they will abide by the Constitution and act in the best interests of the American people. Those who were on that list that we released yesterday, where I directed, at President Trump's direction, the revocation of their security clearances, came about because they broke that trust. A number of different examples. People who leaked, conducted unauthorized leaks of intelligence to their friends in the propaganda media. Those who participated in this Russiagate hoax, the manufactured intelligence assessment that came after President Trump was elected in 2016.
That Russia
went on
wanted
to
Trump. Yeah.
Exactly. Creating a document that they knew was false, falsely claiming that Putin wanted to help get Trump elected, when really the intelligence in the months leading up to the election said exactly the opposite. So bottom line is, these individuals, and there are more, unfortunately chose to put their own self-interest, their own personal ambition, their own political interests ahead of the oath that they took to the Constitution and taking action to serve the best interests of the American people.
Yeah. Do you think that she was a good choice for DNI? Good choice that Trump made? Yeah, I'd say she kind of was. She was actually a really good choice. The same with Kash Patel. Everybody, Pete Hegseth, like everybody's just crushing it at their jobs. Same with, EPA Lee Zeldin. He's been all over the media lately, talking about like slashing all kinds of like nonsense that they're engaged with over in the EPA. And I mean, it's great, man. Like, it's been a hell of an effective year, and we still got 3 more years to go after this. So pretty incredible. But anyway, I believe that's all I got. That's all I got for tonight. So if you enjoyed the video, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It would mean the world to me if you do. And I'll drop a new show every evening covering the swamp and everyone living in it, the politicians, the bureaucrats, the agencies, and everything else. Also, throughout the day, I clip segments of each episode, and I usually drop them usually at 8 a.m., 10 a.m., noon, and 2 p.m. So if you don't have time to watch this entire episode, which, I mean, this one's going almost 2 hours. They average between an hour and a half and 2 hours. So if you don't have time, if you want to get a couple of the highlights, you can check this same channel, and I post clips throughout the day before I record the next one, which usually drops. I want to try to get them out earlier, but I'm still working on my microphone. I've been having microphone problems for a few weeks. But once I get all that sorted out, I plan on starting each episode around 6:30 p.m., and they should be out by 8 p.m. That's the time that I'm targeting. I'm trying to get to 8 p.m. when each episode's released. But for now, it might be 9, might be 10. Like tonight, for instance, is probably going to be like 10:30 or so. But I'll get it back on track. I'll get it on track. But until next time, hope you have a great rest of your night, and God bless America.